Yeah, okay. Thank you. Again, thank you. Well, I'm Edgar Cage, and Beth asked me last week to talk about stewardship. And I'm not going to preach, I'm going to talk. And I'm going to tell you what stewardship is to me and give some guidance on what I use or try to use, and I'll be honest, probably not all the time, but I should, about what stewardship is. The word stewardship simply means to manage someone else's property. And in John 3:27, a person cannot receive even one thing unless it is given to him from heaven. So what that simply means is that all we have here, all we have on the earth, is not ours, but God. What God has granted us the right to use. And that includes every breath we take. God has given that to us. Everything that we accumulate, God has put us in a position to accumulate that. And that includes your talents, your treasures, and your time. God has afforded us that opportunity. And I'm saying these things because stewardship, just like everything else, I think is like DNA. It's something personal and different from person to person. But that's between you and God, your maker, on what you come to what stewardship is. In 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 7, for we brought nothing into the world, and we cannot take anything out of the world. It's not ours, it's God. God has granted us the opportunity to use it and to share it with others, as Father Ashley said this morning about love. And St. Patrick's is one of those things, not just your neighbor, but everything God has given us to include St. Patrick's is a blessing. And we should put St. Patrick in his proper place in our lives, especially around stewardship. In 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 14, do not neglect the spiritual gift within you, which was bestowed on you through prophetic utterance and the laying of hands on the presbytery. Again, it's not ours. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 20. O Timothy, guard what has been entrusted to you, avoiding worldly and empty chatter and opposing arguments of what is falsely called knowledge. And that's something I think myself, and I think all of us do it. We sometimes want to take too much credit. We think it's us, that I work hard, I earn this, but God has put us in positions. God has given us those talents. God has given us that ability, and God has given us that time to put us in a place where we can do and gain and earn what we need to. In 2 Timothy, God, through the Holy Spirit who dwells in us, the treasure which has been entrusted to us. And I'd just like to conclude and say, we are blessed. We are all blessed. And I think we should take time to think about the blessings that we have received, that God has granted us. We hadn't earned them. God has granted us those, because only through God's mercy are we able to do things and to get things. And I just hope and pray and trust for myself also that I can acknowledge and understand what God has given me and allowed me to use, and hopefully and freely give back to when I can, just to show my appreciation. Just like if we go to a restaurant or something, and if someone gives us good service, we show appreciation by tipping them. And don't want to call the treasures that we give God as a tip, but we've been granted something. And this is an opportunity for us to return and show our appreciation with our talents, treasures, and time. So I just want to conclude to say that don't be so earthly minded that you cannot do heavenly things. Thank you.